So hello and welcome to our presentation. My name is Nicolás D'Aleman Arango and I'm here to present the Brainwave Virtual Instrument, musical improvisation and brainwave sonification via Faust programming. So I will talk a little bit about the team. We are Nicolás D'Aleman Arango, that's me. I'm a sound artist and musicologist. And I recently finished a program in sound studies and sonic arts at the University of the Arts in Berlin. Dr. Julia from Thienen, she's a professor of neurodesign in the Hasso-Plattner Institute in Potsdam, and Heinrich van Koller is the technical and artistic director of the electronic studio at the Technical University in Berlin. And together we created the Brainwave Virtual Instrument, a VST open source software synthesizer built in programming language Faust. The purpose is to facilitate the exploration of EEG data and other brain data through sonification. We use pre-recorded data that is then translated as parameter controls of an instrument through open source control, OSC, messages that are generated and streamed through a Python program. The instrument can easily be distributed and compiled to different targets, and thanks to Faust flexibility, it opens opportunities to exploration. So the Brainwave Virtual Instrument was created for two major purposes. On the one hand, we want to find musical structures that can relate to brainwave data. And on the other, we wanted to create a tool that familiarizes neuroscientists and other researchers in the field of neurodesign with sonification techniques and with the exploration of brain activity through sound. So basically, this is the instrument and how it works in its design. And because of the way that Corona has been happening in the last weeks or months, our project has developed further in different directions. And one of the things that we developed then is a course in data sonification. So overall, this project is situated in the Data Sonification Initiative that involves institutions such as the Center for Computer Research and Music, the Hasso-Plattner Institute, the TU in Berlin, and Sound Studies and Sonic Arts, also in the University of the Arts in Berlin. This initiative is anchored in the technical developments that open up innovative opportunities for data sonification in neuroscience, in digital engineering, and in creativity studies. This semester at the Hasso-Plattner Institute, we are offering a seminar called Data Sonification and the Opportunities of Sound for the students of digital engineering, where among other forms and ideas for sonification, we are encouraging the students to use the Faust language as a way to create and design their own instruments. Most of the students have a background in computer science, but most of them don't have a background in digital signal processing or formal musical training. Okay, so back to sonification, a little introduction. Sonification is defined as the use of non-speech audio to convey information. More specifically, sonification is the transformation of data relations into perceived relation in acoustic signal for the purposes of facilitating communication or interpretation. Since 1992, the International Community of Auditory Display, ICAD, has held conferences where researchers from diverse backgrounds such as medicine, science, arts, and humanities work together in order to use sound and auditory cues for that exploration. It is important also to highlight the difference between sonification that goes more in the direction of data visualization for conveying meaning and gathering meaning from this data, and data-driven music, that is music that uses datasets and processes of sonification in order to create pieces of music that have certain aesthetic approach. The Brainwave Etudes that I will show later lean more towards data-driven music. From there, we have a couple examples of sonification. Perspective of brainwave sonification have been always an interesting topic for music, and it has this allure of being able to control music directly from your brain. Early experiments include Alvin Lucier Music for Solo Performer and Richard Teitelbaum In Tune. So to collect data for this project, we conducted EEG recordings with the medical device Mayo Field Bio Era Clinical Performance 110 using the software Mindful Mindstream 1.2. All the recordings were made by one participant with 2 electrodes placed on the left side of the participant head on the frontal and parietal position. Each electrode captures one signal that conveys the rhythmic activity of the brain over time. Most of the signals range between 1 and 30 Hz. The raw signal is processed then through a spectral analysis, so FFT, in order to gather more specific information about the brain activity. This allows to detect amplitude in a specific bandwidths. Often assessed EEG frequency includes delta -4 Hz, theta 4 to 8 Hz, alpha 8 to 12 Hz, and beta 12 to 30 Hz that we divided in low beta 12 to 16 and high beta 16 to 30. The amplitude shown in each of these frequency bands is associated with different mental states. So for instance, high levels of delta activity occur during sleep. Theta indicates drowsiness in adults. Alpha activity is shown when subjects are relaxed and when they close their eyes. Low beta activity shows calm and concentration, while high beta is associated with intense concentration or even stress. The relative amplitude of each of these frequency bands changes drastically depending on the tasks. So our recordings lasted about 15 minutes, and during this time the participant was asked to realize different tasks that include different states of mind. Each task was performed for about 2 minutes with brief breaks in between. These are the tasks, and each of these tasks can be expected to increase activation in one or more EEG frequency bands. For example, in rest situations, relaxation, EEG alpha can be expected, and even more so when the eyes are closed. Mental math is expected to activate low beta and beta frequencies. When the task is easy for the participant, low beta dominates. When calculations become more difficult, higher beta frequencies can fuse in and reflect intense concentration or even stress. Other created activities are expected to activate alpha frequencies, and when these tasks endure for longer times and the creative flow fades away, this can elicit stress, and the participant becomes drowsy or even idle. This is the instrument, and we coded the instrument using the Faust programming language. We did a few prototypes before, mainly SuperCollider and MaxMSP, but ultimately we choose Faust thanks to the flexibility that it offers regarding the building targets, which also allow us to distribute this instrument to different platforms and different operation systems and so on. In the design of the instrument, we decided to use FM synthesis, frequency modulation, to highlight the deviation in data. We chose it because we thought that it has the advantage to be very flexible sonically, giving a wide range of textures and timbres, while also being very precise in the little variations of frequency and other parameters. So yeah, the instrument is basically 8 parallel filters. The instrument is basically 8 parallel frequency modulation synthesizers that correspond to each of the 8 measurements that we gather from our experiments. So 4 frequency bands and 2 times 1 for each electrode. The initial carrier and modulation frequencies are the same in each frequency band for both electrodes, while chosen frequencies mirror the bands that will become audible. The numerical relationship corresponds, as we see in this table, to the middle point between these frequency bands times 10. In our instrument, the first approach was to control the modulation frequency via the EGG recordings, recording data that is streamed via open source control. Then the carrier frequency modulates according to the amplitude of the EGG signal, and furthermore the user has the possibility to control the index of modulation, the harmonicity ratio, and the position in the stereo field. 2 additional knobs control the envelope decay and the rate, which adds a rhythmic dimension to the instrument. Each EGG frequency band has a separate level slider and a start checkbox, so it can be mute or soloed. This also allows direct comparison between 2 or more frequency bands for just basic diagnosis purposes. In general, the performer has ample means to control the sound output, and this facilitates exploration that not only fall in the field of diagnosis, but also in the field of improvisation. So our first tests with the instrument led to the creation of these Brainwave Etudes, and we will listen to them now. That was the first etude where the participant had its eyes open, and I tried to convey how having the eyes open presents a lot of data and a lot of streams that is rather chaotic and not easily stable. Now we will listen to the third one, the unusual uses for bricks with eyes open, and we will hear the difference. Yeah, this one had more activity, particularly in the higher frequencies, and you can also hear that the frequency of the rate of the envelope is higher, so the rhythm is a little bit faster. And finally, we will listen to the paper clip. So they use for paper clips for with eyes closed. In this piece, we listen prominence of low frequencies, which reflects the state of concentration and the eyes closed of the participant. Okay, next one. So that's basically it. For the instrument, this is an ongoing project and we would like to have further developments. One of them that got truncated because of Corona is the creation of a sound installation with multiple speakers and sound objects where the visitors can experience the brain frequencies as if they were on the brain itself. We also wanted to develop the instrument for live performances, and that would require other devices such as the Muse or the Vitalino, the OpenBCI. But in general, we hope that the approach that we had with this instrument sparks curiosity of neuroscientists and other people interested in sound, so they can have another perspective for transforming data into sound and ultimately music. We consider that the implementation of an instrument as such in the Faust language can help to bridge the knowledge of audio programming, data-intense research like neuroscience and creativity research conducted in design thinking through the use of common and rather accessible computer language. Here are some of the other projects. Among them, we want to create biofeedback with live instruments and also virtual platforms in the internet. And of course, there is the idea to export the instrument to other targets, not only on the web, but also for the Bella platform or for JUICE to introduce this as a VST instrument in digital audio workstations and so on. And yeah, that's it pretty much. So thank you.